Scott, there's a great night for fights tonight. There's such a volume of fights these days with DAZN and UFC doing their thing. How does the fact that there's so much, such a flood of MMA fights and content out there, how does that influence your ability to, you've been matchmaking a long time, put together cards, keep them exciting when there's just so much out there these days?
I mean, when we put a fight card together, we really like to put a fight card together that is unique and is a little bit different, and something that the fans all want to see. And if you see some of the fights, we have the young guys up and coming, like the Pico Corrales fight. That was a contender, not a contender match, but I mean, like somebody that's still has a big career ahead of him. And then we did the Legends fight with Fedor. Bader, not so much. He still has a big, career ahead of him. But we like to put in brand names against other brand names and see what happens. So that's what you saw tonight, something for everybody.
With that in mind, how important and how satisfied are you with the future star building? Guys like Pico who are having sort of ups and downs so far this young in their career. Are you satisfied with where it is, and what do you think you need to do to get it to a point where you're satisfied with it? You
have to understand from a promoter standpoint, really, our job is to facilitate the fights and put the fights together and give these kids an opportunity to grow and to get to where they want to go. And, listen, this is MMA. Nobody is undefeated in MMA for a long period of time. That's just how it is. One punch, one kick, one submission, it changes the whole landscape. So, to me, Pico, he almost won the fight, and then he got stopped. So that's just the nature of the beast, and I think that he'll go back to the drawing board. He'll get his learning pad out and put all that energy he put into this fight and all the strategy and the outcome and put it into his bank. And it'll help him grow into the future and become a better fighter. That's my belief. I mean, these fighters are, like especially a guy like Pico or Krause. They have years ahead of them, and like I said in MMA, it's not no one's undefeated.
Was he not? Do you not think he was very reckless in the fact that he had him worked? We know he's a decent wrestler, and that this is the kind of the innocence of youth, if you like, and it's unfolding in front of us, and that that he's shown himself up there in some ways, Scott.
That's something you'll have to ask him, and only he knows what he was thinking at that time. And but in fairness, I mean, it looked like one punch and it was going to be over because he's a hard hitter. He's a guy that could stop you with one punch. So, he probably thought he was teeing it up, and then he got caught, and then that's why this sport is so dynamic and so explosive, and that's why we love it.
Does Corrales put himself in? Does Corrales put himself in the title picture with that kind of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is a great win for him. And he's changed camps. He's living in Arizona, training now, and has and Benson Henderson's there training with him. So he's got a great group of guys around him now, and I think that he's just going to get better and better.
Scott, Ryan Bader, I don't know if he was even hit this entire tournament. He kind of ran through the field. Right. Where would you put a guy like that on the pound for pound list, so to speak?
Man, I don't know how you could. I mean, he's got to be right up there in the top 2 or 3, in my opinion. The guy is dangerous. And I'm not sure if I'm just imagining, but it seems like he's becoming a better and better striker because, the go-to move was always, go for the takedown, go for the shoot, try to punch, go for the shoot, ground and pound. But, now, like the King Mo stoppage and this stoppage, I mean, I think he was setting up what he hit him with, and he caught him, and then that was it. These guys are big, strong men, one punch, and, it's over.
He has the 2 titles now, and we've seen, I guess, recently that you become double champ and you don't defend one of those titles. What is next for Bader? Do you see him defending both of them? What do you, I mean, I'm sure eventually he's got to go back to 205 and defend the title there, right?
Yeah, you know what? That's going to be up to Ryan because as long as we don't have, the light heavyweight being jammed up, let's, for instance, if Gegard eventually, because he told me he wants to move up and Lloyd might want to move up at some point, and fight Bader, at 205. As long as those fights aren't, right down the road for him, we're going to give him a little bit of leeway to say, hey, if you want to defend the heavyweight, then you could do it. And then, he could go back and forth. But I think that eventually, there will be a bottleneck at some point, and then we'll just all make a business decision.
And the Minakov-Congo winner gets the next heavyweight title shot. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And Ryan told me the other day that he has 1 fight left on his contract. I imagine you guys will go into negotiations.
Well, I don't know if that's accurate. Yeah, I don't think that's accurate.
Champions
There's
clause?
champion clauses. Okay. It's I think that we have quite a bit more time with multiple fights So you should get with Dave Martin and talk to him about that. But believe me, we've read that contract.
Thanks.
Kevin, nice to see you.
Good evening, Scott. You are friends with Fedor. He's in knockout.
Yes.
Are you disappointed?
You know, I'll tell you, my job is to put the best fighters in there that we can, and I think that we did that tonight. And you never want to see a friend get hurt. But you know, it was one shot, and when I saw him leave, he seemed to be okay. So at least he's not hurt seriously. And you know, I hope that he's fine. But yeah, it is. You know, it's never easy to see your friends, you know, get hit and get knocked out and get hurt.
Do you think will he fight again?
That's really up to him. You know, that's really up to Fedor. And you know, I think that we had a relationship, you know, that lasted for many years, and he fought for me back in Strikeforce. And Fedor, he doesn't have to fight again. He's already done it all. You know, to me, he's the greatest heavyweight of all time. He has such a great run. But really, it's really going to be up to him of when he decides to finally, you know, put it to rest.
And the last question: his contract is off now.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
That's correct.
Hi, Scott. So Tito Ortiz was very visible cage side today, and just about a minute ago, he has tweeted that he wants to rematch Chael and take on Ryan Bader. Have you had any discussions with him about returning?
No, we have not had that conversation. George's manager has reached out, and I just said, let's talk, you know, after this fight's over. But you know, we'll see. I mean, you know, fighting Chael, he's already done that, and to me, it's like, why would you want to rehash that? And you know, retirement after retirement. But you know, if he wanted to fight again, would we fight him? I'm not sure. You know, that's something we would decide. You know, if the opportunity came our direction. But we're not that far down the road.
Okay. And some weeks ago, there were rumors flying around that Tito was looking to fight Dan Henderson. Dan Henderson was also in attendance tonight. Mm-hmm. Is there any truth on your side to that rumor?
No, we're not talking to either fighter about fighting for Bellator.
Scott, I just wanted to ask you, when you think of Fedor's career, what sticks out most about what he's done? Is there anything, any particular fight or any particular thing about him that sticks out in your mind? You know,
Kevin, he had that one run where he was undefeated for 10 years. And in that 10 years, unlike today, because leagues are, you know, whether it's boxing or mixed martial arts, combat sports in general, sometimes the best guys don't fight the best guys all the time, right? Because of politics or networks or whatever it is. So he fought everybody. You know, Fedor didn't duck anybody. Read his list of accomplishments of who he's fought. It's the who's who of mixed martial arts. Josh Gross knows that. He already has it memorized, I'm sure. Yeah, okay. But, you know, to me, he's, you know, the GOAT, and that's it. And I think that, you know, it goes back to he is a guy that fought everybody that he was presented with.
And I think sometimes people think of, you know, he had that impassive look in his face and, you know, he would get spiked on his head and he never seemed to get flustered. What kind of impact do you think that had in the cage? Like a guy that he just seemed so cool under heavy fire, under duress, never let himself get, you know, up. Do you think that had an impact and helped him win fights and maybe build the mythology that surrounds him?
I mean, you know, the first time I saw him fight, he looks like the character in the James Bond movie that, you know, was ruthless and is out there, you know, doing his thing, you know, the Russian spy. But he had a very stoic look about him, and he was out there knocking people out. And, you know, that's what he did for a very long time. You know, for me to promote him in Strikeforce, to promote him here, it's an honor. You know, I consider him a friend. And he's a legend in the sport, and this guy is recognizable worldwide. You want to go hang out with him in Japan, you're going to get mobbed. You hang out with him in L.A., you're going to get mobbed. He still has that X factor that some fighters never get to. So he's a very special athlete.
Scott, from a business standpoint, how would you assess the Grand Prix and what kind of a success it was for the company?
Yeah, it was a very good piece of business for Bellator and for Paramount, and it was. I think we started on Spike actually, right? So it's a very good piece of business. It's a piece of business that was good internationally for us because all these fights are distributed all around the world. You know, we have distribution deals in 160 countries around the world, and you know, for sponsorship, activation, sponsors, you know, the people loved it because we didn't just have a tournament. We had a tournament with 8 of, you know, some of the biggest brand names in mixed martial arts. And, you know, Ryan Bader chose to be the king, and he's going to defend that belt, and we'll go forward from there.
And it actually worked out for you guys because there was supposed to be the UFC show today in Los Angeles as well.
Mm-hmm.
How do you envision coming to the LA market soon again? And if so, when would that be?
Yeah, you know, we traditionally come here on this weekend every year, right? And, you know, coming to LA once a year, I think has worked. We promote 30 shows. We're going to promote 32 shows this year all over the world. We're launching a European series February 9th in Newcastle. So we're going to be very busy, but we do have fights that I just think make a lot of sense here. When I think of Lyoto Machida fighting, I think of LA, someplace in LA. When I think of, you know, Gegard Mousasi fighting, I think of Los Angeles. So a lot of great fighters here. Pico's still here. AJ McKee's from here. There's a great, you know, talent bed here in Los Angeles for Bellator, and we're going to continue promoting in the Los Angeles area once a year for sure, maybe twice a year.
Hey, Scott. In leading up to the fight, I think during media day, Fedor said this through his interpreter, of course. He said, "This, being fighting, is not a passion. This is a necessity. The necessity to come and to stand for the owner of your country." What do you make of that statement? What do you think he meant by that?
You know, I can only speculate, but I can tell you this. When I called him to come fight in this tournament or start fighting for Bellator, he said to me, "I have to go speak to Vladimir Putin." And I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah, because I'm running his mixed martial arts program for the country." And I said, "Okay, well, let me know how that goes." And 2 weeks later, he called. He said, "Okay, I have his approval." So he had to go to, you know, the leader and the president and get his permission and his blessing. And I'm telling you right now, if he would have said no, Fedor would not be fighting. So he respects him a lot, and he, you know, when with what, you know, your statement there, that's really what it comes down to, is that, you know, he is fighting for. I always said, I fight for God, and I fight for my country.
Do you think he's also fighting because Putin is telling him to, or?
No. I don't think that's the case. I think that he was just asking for permission because he was running his mixed martial arts amateur program for the country. So he was a full-time employee for the government, is my understanding. Is that correct? Kind of. We'll have to
I
get
don't
back to you on
know
that one. Yeah. He was running the sports ministry for MMA. That's what my understanding was.
Okay, and I know his contract's done, and there was a lot of talk of retirement, but what do you want to see happen? And if you have him in Bellator again, how do you match up somebody who's had this run, has built this legacy, and is now at this point in his career?
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is how I feel. It's like, you know, he's already accomplished everything, and you know, it'd be nice to see him maybe do something in Moscow as a big celebration, you know, for all his accomplishments, and then, you know, and then move on. That's what I think would be the right thing to do.
Last one over here with Garrett.
Thanks, Danny. Scott, the tournament obviously has taken 12 months. You've had 7 events. I think it's 7 events, 7 fights. It's been very successful. You haven't had injuries. You've got the welterweight tournament that has enabled you to earn, you know, over $100 million US from DAZN over 3 years. Do you think tournaments are the way forward? And do you intend to do tournaments in any other divisions?
Yeah, I mean, I like the tournament format, but I think the tournament should be done when you have 8 fighters that have a meaning, have a purpose. And you know, to me, the welterweight division, I mean, come on, we have some of the best welterweights in the world, and I don't think you could deny that. And so, to me, it made a lot of sense to have a tournament, and DAZN wanted a tournament, and so it was a great piece of business for Paramount, so we did it. As far as having it in other weight classes, when I look at our featherweight division, it's something that's very attractive. But we'll see. Let's get through the welterweight tournament first. Thank you, guys.